The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
Hey, everybody calm down. Hey, calm down. Relax. Relájate, wey. It's gonna be okay. I got you. A little bit of technical difficulties at the tower today. My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious. But we're making it work, we're making it happen, and it is going to be such a good week for us nerds, man. I'm telling you, more and more, we are getting confirmations and hype building, which indicates that this Friday evening, we will be treated to an absolutely delicious smorgasbord of X-Men this Friday. Now, as some people pointed out in chat, I saw Carl say this. The last time we had a situation like this, we did perhaps set too high of expectations, you know? I personally still think that's Carl's fault. But yes, that did happen. Okay, so we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. We'll break down what is being said. We will, of course, not listen to Carl at all, and we will build up unreasonable expectations. We will get incredibly excited. I need the Rockpocalypse. I need Daniel Day-Lewis Magneto. I need Robert Downey Jr. to come out and say he's playing Charles Xavier. It's gonna be a good ass time, baby. It's gonna be a good ass time. Any Star Wars news? Maybe. We'll talk about it. What up, everybody, though? How you doing, man? How's your weekend? How was your weekend? Did you guys have a good weekend, man? Did you have a good weekend? What's going on with you? How are things? Let's catch up a little bit before we get into all the topics today. But I really do think it's going to be a good day. We have actually a lot to get into. By the way, too, let me just say this right off of the bat. Man, apparently we're gonna have to go live at 10 p.m. Friday night, chat. That's like my bedtime. You know? So literally the presentation, which it is a Marvel presentation, it's literally like 2 hours. It's like 2-hour chunk. So we'll have to be there for the whole thing, and there will probably be some Star Wars, maybe some Pixar, but, you know, whatever. I don't know. It's gonna be a Disney thing. But again, pretty consistent rumors suggesting that you're gonna get an absolute fire announcement about the X-Men, and we all think that it's the cast, and that sounds right, that sounds appropriate and everything like that. So we will get into it all, man. Landon says I'll be look, I have this one like hair, do you see that's sticking out crazy? A 10 p.m. stream, Child's Play. What does that mean? A haircut on Friday at 10 p.m. That sounds perfect, actually. Josh, does it suck to be a Star Wars elder? Is that what I am? Is that how you guys view me? I don't know. Look, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say about Star Wars. They're going to keep trying. And I don't think I'll ever be able to fully separate myself or my brand from Star Wars, you know? So we will inevitably tackle all of that when the time is right. We will get into our feelings. I will rage out about it. But is it impossible that Star Wars gets its shit together and I'm actually really excited about Star Wars again and we get back to having a really good time? Yeah, I suppose it's possible. I don't know. I don't know. You know, look, we went over this months ago. Dave has a plan. Dave's trying to get stuff done, but at the end of the day, like the damage is just so real. And I am personally just like, it's not an act. I have a viscerally negative reaction towards Star Wars. Wish it wasn't so, but it is so. You know, so I just got to be honest with y'all. It's time for you to put Dave on guns level? What the fuck? Coming in hot today, Kendall. Holy. All right, let me catch up on a couple of these super chats. We'll hang out. I also want to talk about the Hobbit pre-release that I went to on Friday. I had a lot of fun. I went 2-0. Oh, I could have went 3-0. I screwed up. I screwed up in the last game, but I had a really, really good time. Very excited. Connor, thank you for becoming a member once again, man. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Nick's Tape FC says, James Goon taking out your power. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it was a big old storm. It's actually still storming out there. You know, knock on wood, everything's good. And we don't have I mean, we never have technical difficulties over here. So it would be such a shock to the system if that happened today. We'll see. We'll see what the gods have in store for us, huh? Zach Deck says, on my way back from meeting the GOAT, Chris Evans, asked if he knew Den of Nerds. He said, isn't that the guy, Josh, that says my name of doom? Wouldn't that be amazing if that was real? Like, if Chris Evans knew me as the my name of doom guy, then I could die happy. You know what I mean? Like, truly. Appreciate you, Zach. The Steve Ski 08 says, what would Star Wars have to do to get you back? Also, Spider-Man Brand New Day doing crazy things at the box office. Yeah. Oh, man. Do we have to do this now? I feel like I've already said more than enough than I want to about Star Wars. Give me a second. Let me just sip the coffee and try to give you a short answer, I guess. Look, Star Wars has some of the most incredible shit in pop culture, in science fiction. I think the lightsaber is the coolest weapon ever created. I think the Sith and the Jedi are some of the coolest wizard slash sorcerer slash hero villain concepts ever created. Star Wars has a bag of ingredients, and really it has resonance beyond what a lot of other IP has. Can it outrun all the damage and everything that's happened to it recently? I would say maybe eventually. Frankly, this is why I will sometimes suggest an actual break for Star Wars, like a 5-year break, a 10-year break or something, because I think that, you know, something we're watching happen with Marvel right now is scarcity is really important. And although, you know, look, you look at what happened over the past couple of years, even the past 4 years with Marvel, and I was one of those people, like, you guys know this if you're a follower of the channels. I was one of these people that was like, cancel these fucking shows. And even the good ones, even the ones that I personally enjoyed, I was like, yeah, that should never have existed. And the problem, like, the reason that I was right about that has very little to do with the fans of those shows. Okay? There are certain types of fans, or maybe certain types of people out there that have a pretty large appetite for these things, and maybe they're just really, really into one particular IP, and they'll be there no matter what for all kinds of different things. But I just can speak honestly to what happened to me as a fan, and it's not just the content, it's the rituals. It's everything that goes into enjoying a piece of Marvel or Star Wars content, which should be special. I mean, ultimately, the whole reason Disney buys these IPs, right? And the whole reason that, like, remember showing up for Mando season 1 and 2? You know what I mean? Like, you remember showing up for WandaVision, remember showing up for Loki. The idea was, we really care about these things. They've given us enough, like, cool shit to follow along with, enjoy, and be able to engage with. And so we were just kind of like showing up again like we used to, but this time it was like for shows. But the problem is, when you do that over and over and over again, and frankly, I think a lot of the content was unfulfilled for both franchises. Super unfulfilled. I mean, Marvel kind of went in half-baked. They had some great ideas, but like, they just underestimated what it would take to make compelling television when you're a movie studio. And they really fucked up. They really dropped the ball in a lot of ways that make all that stuff feel pretty unfulfilled. And I think when that happens over and over and over and over and over again, that feeling you once had for the brand just completely goes away, right? So, like, part of what we're seeing with Marvel, and this is why, like, even though last year they kind of had to, like, eat shit 3 times in a row, at the end of the day, you know, outside of the Captain America movie, which I thought was goobly glob, they made 2 really good movies. But at the end of the day, they can't outrun the fatigue with good movies. Period. So you have to reach a scenario where you kind of put your head down, you just make really good content. There's a level of scarcity to it. It has resonance. You got to kind of recapture that feeling of, like, wanting to show up for the appointment television or the big appointment movie and feeling good about it. I mean, Spider-Man is really showing us something here, man. And I don't know that we're all even fully aware of exactly why this has happened. You know, one of the things that I brought up, I think the Friday where we went full spoilers on Spider-Man, was there's this alchemy that's happening here. And, you know, we're not sure exactly what's all, you know, going into this, but I think one thing that's really important to note is that, like, Hollywood's been so goofy and goobly glob and really off base for so long that like, there's still this massive hunger with a lot of different people that, like, want to go have that experience. They want to go be entertained by that Hollywood industry, by those Hollywood people. Like, there's still a large desire out there for people to go do that. It's just the case that I think people are really discerning. And with Spider-Man, through the advertisement, through a level of scarcity, through a level of spectacle, through a level of celebrity, through all kinds of different ways and avenues, they were able to signal to this large group of people that want to be entertained, oh, this one's different, we got you on this one. You know what I mean? Like, that's genuinely what it felt like. And I think that's a part of the formula. I think that's a big part of the success. So, like, can Star Wars do that? Well, yes. But they have to outrun the fatigue. They probably have to accept the fact that certain things they're going to do, even when well executed, might not resonate the way they once did. And they have to just kind of separate the noise from the signal and just do the right thing, build it back. But I do feel like Star Wars in particular has like way more baggage, way more like brother. Think about how much I fucking hate Star Wars. And I was like the Star Wars guy. You guys got to understand, like when I got the gig with Theory, right? That was like a dream job. I love Star Wars. I've always loved Star Wars. And Theory, of course, biggest Star Wars YouTuber in the world. It was like, oh my God, I'm a part of this thing. I love this brand. I'm having so much fun. And frankly, I mean, like, y'all know this. We crushed that shit for years. We were the #1 show. We absolutely fucking dominated. We had so much fun. There were incredible streams when the shit was popping. Mando 2, etc., etc. So I have that love, but man, because I was so engaged, I also was very close in proximity as it all fell apart. And man, did it fall apart, dude. So I don't know how they'll actually be able to pull it off. Is there a scenario where they could pull it off? Sure. And now I just yapped for 20 fucking minutes about Star Wars, and I never wanted to do that ever again, but thank you. Rossi says with a 10 spot, West Coast Nerd Avengers will be in LA in the city from the 3rd to the 8th. Friday the 4th will be the best day for a meetup. We need suggestions on where to meet and what to do in LA for the meetup. DM Cool Bear and I for ideas. Yeah, if you guys are participating in that, if you're one of the people that's going to go to the Lucas Museum and all that sort of stuff, that's going down from the 3rd to the 8th in September. And make sure you hit up either Cool Bear or Rossi to get more of those details. I'm actually excited for you guys. I expect to see some like group photos and stuff. I hope you guys have a really good time. Hope you have a really good time. A VG Day Production says the brand new day post-credit scene, I think, is Loki scooping him up. The glitches in the post-credit could represent the creation of Battleworld, Tom, in Secret Wars. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that, brother. I don't know for sure, but yeah, that seems reasonable. It seems reasonable enough. John Johnson says they should cast Margarita Leviviva for Jubilee. I don't know who that is, but she's got a pretty name. Bojack says you should make your answer to what would it take for you to win Star Wars back a clip out segment. What? Maybe. Rossi says bring back Kathleen Kennedy. She'll fix Star Wars 100%. Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's a great idea, brother. Johnny D says became a Nerd Adventure earlier this year. Congrats on the physical glow up, brother. I'm somewhat of a gym bro myself. Anyway, thank you for the dope content. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. So, look, it's an ongoing thing. I think everybody that stays consistent in the gym knows some days are easier than others. You really do got to kind of force yourself to be in there. But I find that, you know, the right kind of mindset, the right kind of things that matter, and you just got to kind of use that alchemy and figure out, is this really something I want? How am I going to sort of get the barriers between what I have and what I want to dissipate? So, yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you. Been working. Rossi says, Disney says the sequels never happened. I'm back. I don't think that actually, like, that might be cool, but I don't think that fixes anything, dude. Like, how does that like help you to be more excited for the next John? You know what I mean? Like that feels, you know what that frankly feels like a little bit? That feels like Rise of Skywalker when J.J. Abrams, Jar Jar Stupid Head Abrams, decided to like do a checklist of retcons for The Last Jedi, and he really thought that the fans would go nuts for that. You know what I mean? Like, I really thought they had something there. but they didn't. CT Visual says, my man, when are you going to get your P.O. box set up so that I can send you that sketch card? Nerd Avengers for life. I got to get it set up soon because I would love the sketch card. Maybe I'll even put it on one of the glass panels up there. Really appreciate that. But also, one of my favorite Warhammer painters said he was going to paint me up a Warhammer model. So that's really cool, and we definitely need the P.O. box for that. You know what I mean? Warhammer, baby! Also, too, can I ask you guys a question? You know, we're talking about Star Wars and stuff like that. I get it. You know, we used to love it. It's totally dead, though. So let me ask you guys, because you asked me, what's going to take for you to get back to Star Wars? What's going to take for you guys to get into Warhammer? What's going to take for you guys to realize that Warhammer's the future, that Warhammer's the best? Like, what would it take? What do you need? Ain't gonna happen, brother. Well, now you're just being close-minded. Warhammer is dead. A show. See? Now there's a thinking man. Joshua says yes. Oh, okay, I like that. The show to actually go into production. Remember Unity? Any updates for collector tiers? Not today, maybe this week, but definitely before the end of the decade. I have been working on Unity. I completely understand the frustrations with Unity. All I can say is that I am focused on making it worth the wait, literally. And I also realized that we can't just like show up years later and just print it and ship it, and then we're like, see, we did it. No, I think at this point we need a little something extra. So just don't worry, you know, definitely before the end of the decade. How many years? 4 years. Definitely before the end of the decade, you will get Unity. And not only will you get Unity, I give you my scout's honor that you'll be like, damn, this took a while, but this fucking shit is dope, dude. Trust. And also, can we talk about Warhammer? Jesus, hope I'm still alive. Yeah, I hope we're all still alive, frankly. Warhammer definitely gets so folks fired up. Dude, right? Like, what happened? I can't believe this happened. Like, I genuinely don't understand exactly how this happened with the community, because Warhammer is legit. A lot of Marvel fans, a lot of Star Wars fans love Warhammer. A lot of people love Warhammer. Like, a lot of people are getting into Warhammer. I don't know, maybe I just was like a big asshole about it or whatever, but you guys are the seemingly the most anti-Warhammer community I've ever seen in my fucking life. And I think that's horseshit. Sir Kendall the Yapper says reboot/remake and it'll be fixed. Look at the MCU. Yeah, I don't know that they'll reboot, but I think the general idea is a correct one. Get away from the baggage. New stuff, new slate, and you know, I guess wouldn't it be crazy if the Starfighter movie was actually super legit and led into some stuff we were super interested in? I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. As soon as you stop, wait, what? A big production movie or show? Yeah. Well, you know, frankly, I think there's a lot of people that are thinking that. That's why Henry wants to do it. That's why Games Workshop wants to do it. That's why Amazon's interested. That's why some of the producers that are doing it are interested. So we don't care about Warhammer or Cape shit. Naruto is coming. Dude, I'm actually incredibly excited for that, dude. Like, and I'm not even a huge Naruto guy. Like, frankly, it's one of the only animes that I could just never get into. But my best buddy is a super big Naruto head, so he took me through like the basics of it. He showed me, like, you know, the Sasuke battle with him, the Nine Tails thing, the crazy dude that comes in at the end that they all have to get the one Yukage for or whatever. Like, so he showed me a lot of it. I don't fully understand it, but I appreciate it. And dude, Destin is basically a god of movie making right now. So I'd be really interested to know or see what he will do with it. John Johnson says, look her up, Josh. It's perfect casting. Okay, I'll look her up. Hang on now. Margarita. I really like that name. Oh, yeah. Wait, what? God damn it. Is this Heather again? You motherfuckers. I always forget that she's fucking Heather. Ah! Oh, what's that? I hear some thunder rumbling. The storm's coming in again. The storm's coming in real strong. Looks like we're going to have to cut the stream there. Sorry. See you guys later. I'll see you later.
The following program, though in
Fuck! You think I'd remember by now? You think I'd remember? But honestly, like, I kind of black out all of the Heather shit. I don't even know if I'll remember next time. Oh, God. Look her up, Josh. She's perfect casting, you motherfucker. The actress Margarita Lava as a female custodian in the Warhammer as herself. Heather and Hammer. God damn. Y'all are really creative. You know? This is interesting because it almost feels like a bit of martial arts here, where you're getting so creative in the technique to try to like land a blow that enrages me. I think we have a Goku Vegeta thing going on here. I think we're both ascending in power because of this rivalry. But we're powerful enough. That's enough. Let's stop it forever. I'm banning Heather and Margarita from the chat. Adam! I bet that Kaylee Spaney casting as Rogue is wrong and that she's actually playing Jubilee. That kind of fits her a lot better, in my opinion. I don't know that we're getting Jubilee. Maybe we are. We're going to get into that. Don't worry. There's a lot to get into today. But, yeah, I don't think Spaney's going to be your Rogue either. Zinni says, retconning the sequels totally does have to happen as the first step to building up goodwill, but after they gotta actually make good Star Wars. Yeah, again, I understand what you're saying here, man, but I just really don't, like, that does nothing for me. Like, it would literally do zero for me. They retcon the sequels. Oh, great, okay. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me, and I still very much doubt, I have a lot of doubt of their ability to actually turn it around. Pedro says, I think Toby Spider-Man will be in the ship with the Fantastic Four, and that's who we see in the Spidey tracker. That would be super fun. If that is somehow real, then Marvel has done an incredible job of hiding that, because there's actually a really good Doomsday leak out there that, let's just say that's not in it. John Johnson says, for the record, this is the second time you've fallen for that. Love you, and I mean it. Don't ban me. I'm not gonna ban you in front of everybody. I'll do it later when everybody's gone so that nobody knows that I did it. C-Dub says, with a $10 holla, says, did you know James Gunn is the writer and producer of the upcoming Coyote vs. Acme movie? What are we doing here, James? Are you the head of DC or Acme? Wait, what? I did not know he wrote that. Is that real? Is that real? The answer is simple. Luke, he's the Iron Man of Star Wars. Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I don't know what they're going to do with that. There's a chance that they're going to do that with Anakin, actually, which I think would be cool. I think at this point, you bring Anakin back in the flesh and literally have him as some kind of like superpowered demigod thing. Like, fuck it, man. Like, I think you need something like that. You need something to that degree of insanity to get people excited again. Buffer Overrun says, do you think the MCU should do a Bond and recast the character to keep the storyline? Yeah, I'm not necessarily against that, but I also think that we're missing the fact that we probably still have 5 to 10 years with a lot of great actors that are currently doing their thing. So, like, dude, RDJ Doctor Doom and RDJ Iron Man are probably back, but at most, that's like 5 to 10 years. I mean, look, we're literally about to watch Doomsday with two 80-year-old individuals that are playing Charles Xavier and Magneto, and I think we're all gonna freak the fuck out and have a great time. So there is a degree here of like, these people can play these roles for a very, very long time. However, I do think at some point, you know, a recast is on the table. Feige's even sort of hinted at that with regards to characters like Captain America and Iron Man. There is a way to recast them. And there is a way to do that. I just don't think like now's the time, in my opinion. Nick P says, Brand New Day may have been the best thing for Marvel. They were able to put a good movie out that was able to build hype for Doomsday. Brand New Day was the first step. And it builds hype for the X-Men. And look, by the way, I have a huge video coming out. It might drop on Wednesday. I'm not sure. But it's like a big, like everything you need to know about the coming X-Men announcement on Friday. And I'm drawing some really awesome conclusions in there. I think it's going to be a really informative video. Okay. But this is one piece of that video that I'll explain to you right now. Everybody thought I was crazy when I said Jean Grey would be in the Spider-Man movie. But now, don't you see how Jean Grey, first X-Men, is sort of in the zeitgeist and everybody's thinking about it and talking about it? And the movie's still in theaters, making literally billions of dollars. And we're going to get D23 while that hype is still there. Like, dude, Kevin really is a master of this hype machine. When he's in his bag and doing this correctly, nobody's even close. I really mean that. So what looked crazy and insane from the outside in is actually like a really good plan. Because yes, Spider-Man was amazing, and Spider-Man was maybe one of the most intimate Spider-Man movies ever. It's so Peter Parker. It's just like, it's so good. But it's also basically an X-Men teaser, and it's setting the stage for how that's all going to work in the MCU. And while that's now on our mind, we're going to get the official X-Men announcement. Like, dude, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, it still feels fresh, doesn't it? And aren't we excited to get it this Friday? So yeah, appreciate you, Nick. Big MGN says, my prediction on the Spidey tracker is Peter in Battleworld, and the one reporting on the app is Kamala Khan. Maybe. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. We will talk a little bit about Kamala Khan today. Chadwick Myers with a 10 spot says, my heart goes out to the episode 7 to this day. Is one of my top Star Wars movies, was genuinely considered a huge success until 8 and 9 retroactively ruined it. Now it's a part of the shitty sequels. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, but that's all. I mean, a lot of people made that happen, and you can't separate it. You can't separate it. So yeah, but I understand. I understand what you're saying. I do understand it. Corey Battles Vox says, thoughts on Jenny Franklin as Rogue? I think she could be really good. Is this some kind of nickname for Margarita here? Who the hell is Jenny Franklin? There ain't no Jenny Franklin, dude. Wait, who? What the? Oh, there she is. Okay. Music department? I don't know who Jenny Franklin is, brother. Rossi says, I don't know if Margarita Lava agent deserves a bonus or should get fired for great casting. Margarita plays the witch mother, Charles in Acolyte. No way, really? Does she? Wow. Wow, that's kind of amazing. Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. Josh, how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers last season? I feel really good about it, D-Flow. Thank you for asking. I feel really good about it. I think he's really motivated to get to the Super Bowl so that he can shit on Anthony Fauci in front of 100+ million people. And I think that terrifies everybody at the NFL. And basically, I just want that Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I just want another Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. So just like in Avengers Endgame, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. If he's got this big vendetta and it's going to fuel him to throw a bajillion touchdowns and get us to the Super Bowl, I'm all about it, baby. I'm all about it. VTJ Production says, imagine Xavier and Magneto kill Nick Fury. Why would I want to imagine that? Why would I want... Why? Why would I want to imagine that? No chance? Hey, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so let's get into some topics here, guys. Let's get into some topics, okay? So, first of all, shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Respectfully. Are we ready? Can we get into some topics? Y'all ready to get into some topics here? I don't like sand. Says with the 10 spot. It's important to point out, it was Destin who asked for Jean Grey to be in it. He said they obviously didn't have to say yes to it, but thankfully they did because he thought it was a good story. Yeah, totally. And I don't want to take anything away from Destin because I think what he said is probably technically true. But you got to understand that, like, Destin asking that is nowhere near the final version of how that takes place. Because then Kevin Feige goes to Tom Rothman. Kevin Feige has to plan all these different things. So, like, the idea that Destin is the driving force of why you saw Jean Grey in Spider-Man is so not correct. Okay? But I really like Destin. I'm not trying to, like, call him out for any one particular thing. But I've been covering Marvel Studios for 10 fucking years. Okay? I know their system. By the way, I know... Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I know shit that some of these people don't know about their own employers. But I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. VTJ Production says, set up immediate conflict with OG Avengers. Brother, yeah. Yeah. I get you. Maybe that could work. I get you. Maybe that could work. Okay. Are we ready? Can we get cooking here? 37 minutes in the fucking stream. We haven't done a single time. Oh, the thunder's coming. I hear the thunder. I hear the lightning. Chat, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, the stream. All right. All right. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the week of D23 and potentially massive announcements with regards to the X-Men when it comes to Marvel Studios. Yes, there might be a little bit of Star Wars stuff. There might be some other stuff going on there too, but really it's all about that X-Men. So let's get into this. Now, I just want to be clear here. There were other scoopers and insiders that were talking about this. Daniel RPK was talking about this. I was a little skeptic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's fair to say that this would be amazing. And I think the X-Men is like, you know, Marvel's got that thing in the back pocket and it's the X-Men and it's real good. Like, dude, it's obviously been popular for a big, big reason. Okay. But, you know, we do have Doomsday, we do have Secret Wars, and then we have X-Men. And so I was always a little bit hesitant to say, like, oh yeah, they're definitely going to announce and talk about X-Men. However, Daniel's saying it, that's a big deal. And on Friday, Heat Vision, the Hollywood Reporter, put out their newsletter, and they basically soft confirm it as well. To me, that's basically all the confirmation you need. Like, we're getting X-Men this Friday. How much X-Men? I don't know. Let's read into this article here, and then let's break down what some other people are saying as well, okay? So, the Heat Vision article starts, it says, a new wave of Marvel mania has taken hold of the nation. Audiences and fans are still flocking to Spider-Man Brand New Day, which had the biggest week in domestic box office history, crossing $500 million faster than even Avengers Endgame. It's expected to be one of the biggest second weekends in history. Goddamn! That's pretty crazy. Don't expect a new Spidey movie to happen quickly, however. The first 3 of Holland movies released about every 2 years, while Brand New Day had a 5-year gap. But do expect Daniel Crichton to be on set in the coming year. That's because Crichton is next turning his attention to Naruto, which goes into production in the first half of 2027. He's been with the Lionsgate adaptation of the manga since before joining Brand New Day. And the studio now suddenly finds itself with one of the hottest directors in town. That is amazing. If you're a Naruto fan, dude, feel that fucking energy, man. That's incredible shit. Huge W for you guys. I love Destin, and just based on Shang-Chi, I thought he would have been perfect for Naruto. But now, y'all basically just banked an extra $300 million in box office simply based off of that thing that's going to come up from the director of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Holy shit. Good for everybody involved. I'm excited about that. It's been a head-spinning 7 days for Marvel and Cretan. Even as Brand New Day was hitting theaters a week ago, Cretan's Wonder Man got the axe, and Mahershala Ali went scorched earth on Marvel over Blade. This follows on the heels of San Diego reveal of Ryan Gosling playing Ghost Rider and David Johnson as the new Black Panther. And as much as many say superheroes are over, comic book movies are over, Marvel is so over, the box office says otherwise. And you know what else says otherwise? The unending speculation and rumor mongering of who is or isn't in the new X-Men feature. Fantastic point. We talked about this last week as well. I actually argued that seeing that buzz about X-Men was an even better indicator of the lifeblood of Marvel than the box office, right? Because look, like, you could just say, and I think some retractors are trying to take this angle or perspective, you could just say it's Spider-Man. You know, some people are literally making it. They're like, Spider-Man's bigger than Marvel. Marvel's floundering still. This doesn't prove anything about Marvel, et cetera, et cetera. But I would argue, you look at the X-Men shit, that is like cast iron proof. That is solid proof that Marvel fatigue is not actually real. Now, there's definitely been a fatigue of the slop and of the crap and of a lot of the things that Marvel was doing. But at the end of the day, Marvel itself, Marvel, that house of ideas, that cast of characters, like all that beautiful shit is still completely alive and well. There's some question as to whether or not Marvel Studios will be able to properly tap into that. But for now, the X-Men hype, it's absolutely real. People are going crazy for it, dude. So far, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, Kit Connors as Cyclops, Scotty Summers have a legitimate foothold on the call sheet. But Marvel has been reading and testing actors for months. And as rumors have it, Marvel could have a banger of a reveal at next week's D23. Now, again, I personally don't think they would say that unless they had some information to indicate that. Like, I swear to God, if they're just looking at Daniel RPK's Patreon, like, this schlub over here, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. You'd have to imagine they have better sources than that. And so they're hearing from their own people the rumors of this happening, right? But what is real and what isn't? Well, there was an Asa Butterfield rumor this week. That one, we can tell you, was way off base. That came from Jeff Snyder, by the way. But what is true is that another Asa German of Scream 7 and Gen V, did test for Cyclops. He clearly didn't get it, but it is possible he was awarded another role. Marvel isn't responding. So, you know, maybe you've seen the images of this guy. I think this guy could be our Worthington. He could be our Angel. And I think he'd do great in that role. So hopefully that's a real thing. I really, really like him in that role, but we'll see. And while we're on the subject of Cyclops, we can tell you there was strong interest in Cooper Hoffman, according to sources, but scheduling nixed the idea pretty early on. That is bullshit. No offense to them, but you got to understand, the Hollywood trades do sort of play this game where they have, let's just say they're incentivized to go with certain narratives that keep everybody looking good. And they're averse to, you know, drama intentions unless they sort of get the go ahead on that. It's kind of a scummy thing, to be honest with you. So no, it's definitely not scheduling. I'm not saying scheduling wasn't a factor, but like, I've heard from incredibly reliable people that's not true. It was a terrible audition from what I heard. Anyway. And while we're on the topic of subject, okay, they did have Cooper Hoffman in there. Then there are the Professor X rumors. Bill Skarsgård seemed to have emerged from certain quarters, who certainly seems so certain about their claims. That's a ridiculous sentence. We can tell you with certainty that Christopher Abbott, Tony Award-winning for Broadway's Death of a Salesman, and Tom Felfrey both tested for the role, and Felfrey did not get it. What about Abbott? Or is it possible the dark horse contender nabbed? Marvel isn't responding. So again, a lot of confusion about who's going to be Professor X. Rob Liefeld is saying it's Bill Skarsgård. My Time to Shine Hello, kind of hinting that it's Skarsgård. Other voices saying that it's probably Skarsgård, but there could be a dark horse. There could be something else going on. You know, Marvel's kind of tricky these days with how they hide things, a la Sadie Sink, Jean Grey. So maybe they're just putting stuff out to throw people off the scent. Don't really know. And we haven't even touched Adam Driver, if at all. Magneto? Shaw. More like Sebastian Shaw. Now, oh man. Okay. Okay, let's finish the article and then we'll talk about Adam Driver. Okay. Anyway, if we had to take our hands up in frustration emoji available, we'd use it now. All eyes are on next week's D23. So what do we know? Well, we do know who's going to be running from alligators very, very soon. What the fuck? Okay. Okay. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, we're done. Now, let's talk about Adam Driver. So he's initially floated as Magneto. This, by the way, came because My Time to Shine Hello said Magneto was being cast as a villain for that movie, for the X-Men movie. And apocalyptic horseshit, who for some reason people like Alex Perez are trying to defend, you know, that's fine. You're free to do what you want, and I'm free to shit on him mercilessly forever. Why? Because I don't think he's a discerning individual. I think he's hearing things, but guess what? We all hear things. Okay, he's not a discerning individual. So this person got me incredibly excited about Adam Driver Magneto for all of 4 days before revealing that he was wrong about that, then saying he was Mr. Sinister, then saying he was wrong about that. So, he's not Magneto. Probably not Mr. Sinister. Now, Nexus Point News, who's actually pretty fucking good, also seems to have gotten this one wrong. Because Nexus Point News reported that, in all likelihood, Adam Driver would be Stryker, William Stryker. The basic creator of the Weapon X program puts the adamantium on Logan. I thought that was terrible. What a waste of Adam Driver's talents! Okay? But then all of a sudden, the Hollywood trades, albeit through a tease, are suggesting Sebastian Shaw. Now, chat, do you know who Sebastian Shaw is? Do you know? Driver would be a perfect Reverend William Stryker. He would be. He would be. And it'd also be an incredible waste of his incredible talents. Listen, Linda. Sebastian Shaw is indeed the guy that Kevin Bacon played in X-Men First Class, okay? And here's the thing. I love Kevin Bacon in that movie, but that ain't Sebastian Shaw, brother. I don't know what the fuck they were doing in that movie, but that ain't it. That ain't him. What the fuck is that? But it somehow works because at least they made Emma Frost sexy, and he's intimidating and interesting and involved in the mutant shit, okay? But here's the deal. Shaw is way cooler, way more interesting, way more integrated into the history of the mutants and the Phoenix Force. Okay? So Shaw creates something known as the Hellfire Club. And the Hellfire Club, the reason they call it Hellfire is because of Phoenix. Okay? And so between Samara Weaving as Emma and Adam Driver as Shaw, and the idea that you might have this sort of Illuminati, you know, secret handshake, Freemason organization created by mutants that have been around for a long, long time that might also understand about certain mutant bloodlines and certain let's say potential hosts for the Phoenix Force, which is this cosmic entity that needs a human host or whatever. I think it's fascinating. Okay? And there's also a scenario here, and I saw Charles Murphy talking about this, so I want to give him credit because I think this was a really cool connection that he made. We also know that Mr. Sinister is involved in all of this as well. And Sinister's a guy who's a human being around the time of like Charles Darwin and like evolution and all these different things, and he's like exploring things and figuring out mutants. Everybody kind of looks past him, laughs at him, says like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So he like he kind of turns himself into a chimera mutant. Okay? So just kind of follow me on this. You have a Hellfire Club, Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost. They seem like fire casting. It really does seem like they're going to be in the X-Men movie. We also have Jean Grey and her sister put into the Spider-Man movie. The government is completely aware of what they're able to do, all that sort of stuff, okay? we have this idea of Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse above him wanting to also find the Summers bloodline, the Greys bloodline. Can't you see how all that sort of stuff kind of blends together and could be done in a really, really interesting way? And I think X-Men 97 is like a perfect setup for this. They're exploring those ideas in X-Men 97, and I think doing a great job of getting a lot of people sort of acclimated to that idea and an understanding of what that is. But there's something really interesting that's potentially going on here, right? Because you have Celestials, and we already had the Eternals movie sort of set up that the Celestials seed human life, seed life on a planet, or at least are there to preserve the life of the planet, right? And then you have this mutation, this X gene, which is clearly in some of those Homo sapiens sapiens or whatever. And then like thousands of years later, that X gene sort of manifests, presents itself, is unlocked, let's say, and you begin to have all of these people getting incredibly crazy levels of power through mutation in their genetics. And in that world, it's interesting to have a character like Shaw connected to a character like Sinister that could go back hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years and fill in the backstory and the gaps for how some people within this world were viewing mutation, the X gene, and all of that. Okay? So I just see here like a brilliant cast of characters. The casting of Shaw with Driver in this context makes a lot more sense and is a lot more exciting to me. I think they're cooking, man. Like, I really think they're cooking. So, with that all in mind, again, although it's rumored, there's a hell of a lot of smoke here suggesting that we will get some crazy shit on Friday for the X-Men presentation. Maybe the cast comes out. I'm hoping for a Rockpocalypse announcement, but we'll see what happens. So anyways, chat, what do you think of that? What do you think of all these possible casting choices? What do you think of Adam Driver and the Hellfire Club? What do you think? What do you think of all that, huh? Look at my super. Okay, fine. But if it has anything to do with Heather, you're banned forever. How would you feel about Sterling K. Brown as Charles Xavier and Yaha Abdul-Mateen II as Magnus? They would have to change some stuff, but it could be cool. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not necessarily against that, but I don't think Marvel's doing that, man. Like, I don't think Marvel's doing that. I think the stomach or the taste for race bending is like not where it was 4 to 5 years ago. I think a lot more people are like, no fucking thank you. And part of how I can see this is there's literally people on Twitter like saying like, oh, this is a perfect place for a race bend or for a race change. And they're getting fucking hammered on social media because it does look like really pick me and cringe, frankly. And I think it begins to get to this place where we sort of question why. And we're all kind of like, I would hope, at a little bit of a more mature place in this. We're like, fucking why, dude? As an example, in House of the Dragon, making the Valyrian bloodline be dark-skinned, like African-looking people was brilliant because it actually adds to the story. There is an right in front of our face, like, reason as to why that actually adds to the story. So I'd have to ask, why would you do this other than just to do it? And I think a lot of people, like, I guess, like, just to be crystal clear, if you want to do it just for the sake of doing it, or maybe, you know, you're a black person and you want them to be black, maybe you're Mexican and you want them to be Mexican, like, dude, that's completely fine. But a lot of us in the room just have to kind of, like, tell you that's just you. It's like literally just you. There's not even close to enough motherfuckers that agree with you to make that a viable option for a mass appeal 4-quadrant commercially viable franchise. And that's as polite as I can say it. Does that make sense? That's as polite as I can say it. I hope you understand it. Iman says, who would you cast as Magneto? I've seen a lot of people say Lee Pace, and I can definitely see the vision. I think Lee Pace is probably the best option out there that people are talking about. Of course, I want Daniel Day-Lewis just because I think his caliber of acting is unmatched. But Lee Pace would be great, and I've seen a lot of people very high on Lee Pace. You know what I'm saying? So I love Lee Pace for the role. What do you guys think? Do you like Lee Pace for the role? Is Wagner Moria, Pablo Escobar from Narcos, still in the running for Sinister? Last I checked, yes, but I'm not really like keeping tabs on it exactly. I'm Mexican. I don't give a fuck if there's any Hispanic people in the X-Men. Yeah, look, there's a lot of people like that. That's why I think it's okay to tell people, like, if you really feel that way, like, you're valid. But I think the internet did a bad job of making you feel like your voice is some kind of majority of people. It's not even close to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the internet did a bad job making certain people feel like their opinion was actually shared by a bunch of people. It's really not. It doesn't mean your opinion's not valid. You know, you can feel however you feel. But the vast majority of us don't fucking care, dude. And we're thinking of other things, man. Like, and we really don't need race bends. I think race bending is so stupid. But also, I'm just me, you know, I'm just one guy. And there are examples where it can work and can be very effective. As I mentioned, House of the Dragon. The picture you tweeted yesterday of the older X-Men concept art leak, I think that's definitely the original reel. And we get excited, maybe Beast in place of Nightcrawler. Yeah, that's actually, let's bring that up, because that's a good thing to bring up. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. Turn it into a long clip here, but that's okay. So let's take a peek ski at this, okay? So, and I do go over this in more detail in the big old X-Men video, which will probably drop Wednesday morning before stream. So you'll get that, dude. I'm telling you, it's a really good video. It's gonna break down a lot of stuff that I'm not even going over right now. Did a ton of research. Just check it out. But it's possible this is real, but it's possible things have changed. So, like, for instance, Storm might not be in this lineup because she might be in Black Panther 3. Colossus might not be in this lineup anymore because we haven't really heard shit about Colossus. We've heard more about Beast, so maybe it's just Beast instead of Colossus, you know? Scotty Summers, we've heard a lot about. Angel, we've heard a lot about. Rogue, we've heard a lot about. Nightcrawler, we haven't really heard too much about. So again, maybe Nightcrawler gets shifted out. One thing that My Time to Shine Hello recently said was that, and I don't want to say too much about this because, like, there's something here, okay? There's something here that we're going to have to break down in more detail. But it's possible Daphne Keene's X-23 is a part of this X-Men team now. But what that would imply is actually crazy. So that could be something that essentially Marvel Studios has this discussion and they're like, well, we actually do want to keep the multiverse around. We actually do want to keep Deadpool and, you know, all his friends in one universe. And you know what? They can jump into 616 and drop Daphne Keene off at Charles' school. And Deadpool could say some hilarious fourth wall breaking shit that would kind of smooth that whole thing over. There's a way that could happen. But if that's true, I got to tell you, I feel like that's a late game decision, meaning this concept art could have been created before Marvel made that decision about Daphne. Does that make sense? So, yeah, this, and I shared this. I actually have a tweet going semi-viral where I shared this again yesterday because I just said, like, hey, don't forget about this. We're going to know if this is real on Friday. A lot of the feedback was very positive. People like this team. I think this would be a really great X-Men cast. And by the way, this doesn't have to be all the mutants in the movie. This is your core group that's actually going to go out on missions. You don't see Chuck in the wheels here, but he's obviously a big part of the X-Men. He would be hanging back. Maybe Beast is hanging back, you know? I don't know. What do you guys think of this lineup here? Is that Colossus instead of Beast? Yeah, it seems like it is, yeah. And My Time to Shine says she never said Daphne was on the reboot team. She just said she's in the movie then, huh? Or did she not even say that? No offense, but I don't want Wolverine to be like 60. Oh, dude, no offense taken. I'm not 60 or Wolverine. So why would I be offended? Michael Jackson as Morph. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I don't think that'll work. That lineup would be fire. I think it would be pretty good. I think it would be pretty good. I dig it. I do want Nightcrawler though. Well, I'll tell you this. There's multiple ways to think about this. No Gambit? No, there's not going to be a Gambit, brother. There's not going to be a Gambit. And I think that, again, watch the video. Watch the video. It's going to come out on Wednesday. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it as we get closer to the announcement. We'll damn sure talk about it more as we get stuff on Friday, as we get all that. Which, by the way, chat, now that more people are in here, I just want to say, we're about to close this segment here. This Friday, it's going to be late, man. I'm going to be live at 9:30 in the evening. That's basically when I have a nightcap, I watch Matlock, and I go to bed. Okay? But instead, on Friday night, I will be having several nightcaps, and I will be going live at 9:30 on this very live streaming channel. Because at 10 p.m., Marvel Studios is going to have a 2-hour presentation about all their upcoming movies and shows, and the X-Men are very likely to be announced in some way, shape, or form Friday night. So come on by for that! And also, the following day, Saturday at 10 a.m. because we got to go a little early because it's actually my son's birthday and I got to get out of here early on Saturday to enjoy his birthday at 1 p.m. But at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, we're going to be breaking down X-Men Days of Future Past on the way to Avengers Doomsday, one of our deep dives on the Marvel movies as we head towards Doomsday. So, man, we're going to do some really fun streams late in the week. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. All right, let's end this segment here. All right. I think this is a good X-Men cast. Let me just talk. So we ended the segment, but let me just gush about these X-Men just a little bit more. There are multiple ways to consider this team. One is just from like the standpoint of the chemistry of the characters, the conversations, the drama. Okay? And I think here it could be really interesting. You've got some interesting dynamics, right? The other way to think of this, though, is from a strictly power scaling perspective. And how would this team go in and do missions? So let's consider that. You've got 2 Omega level mutants on the team. You've got Storm and you've got Jean Grey. Now, I feel like we're probably going to have a scenario where Jean Grey is not fully tapped into her potential. She's not quite Omega level. But Storm, I think, will probably be pretty close to that. She'll be very, very powerful. So you've got 2 big guns, and Jean has an incredible amount of utility, as does Storm in any particular situation in battle. So you've got Colossus. He's like your medium gun. He's like can hold a position, tank, get people out of a dangerous situation, right? Like, I think there's a lot of utility in that. Scotty Summers is the leader. He's going to be like quarterback in this shit. Also, very capable fighter himself. Angel, you got a flyer. You got a flyer, and I think that he's very strong as well. So Angel, I think, is a benefit. Nightcrawler, though, I think Nightcrawler really pushes this team over the edge because having a teleporter is like, okay, so maybe I can't get Colossus through this particular barrier. I can bamf him in and then let him break walls like a pinball machine. You know what I mean? I can get Rogue in. I can get Rogue out. You know, like the teleporter aspect here is absolutely crazy. And maybe they got rid of that because they just felt like they needed more constricting of the team. They need them to overcome obstacles a little bit harder. Because like Nightcrawler, I think, really pushes this team over the edge, which is interesting because he's not an Omega level mutant, but his particular mutation is so fucking useful that he pushes a team that has Omega level mutants over the top. And then you've got Rogue, and I think Rogue is, I mean, she's brilliant. she's actually not that brilliant, but what I mean is she's a brilliant choice. She's super powerful. She's a flyer herself. She can take mutant powers, even of her own team, so the utility there is crazy. She can shut down other mutants, including Omega-level mutants. The utility there is insane, and she's got a big old ass that can be used to distract people. So I think it's a pretty good team. What do you think, Chet? What do you guys think? Rogue is Omega level? What? How is Rogue Omega level? Like when she takes other mutants' powers, maybe. Yeah, she's got an Omega level ass. That's for sure. Jim Carrey as Mojo? I wouldn't hate that, actually. That would be kind of fun. Theoretical Jiggle Physics with a 10 spot. I got to tell you, that's an incredible name. Says, I think Zack Snyder could do a really good job with the Eternals too, especially if they face Insaba Nur and use his movie to set up mutants coming from the Deviants. What are your thoughts? I wouldn't hate that, brother. Like, I legit would not hate that. I just don't see that being in the cards. You know, I don't see that being in the cards. I think Zack could do something. Eternals too, though? I don't know about that, brother. What about Iceman? There's really no indication that Iceman's going to be a part of this thing at all. Iceman is an Omega level mutant, though. I mean, Bobby is incredibly powerful. The thing with Bobby is, though, he's kind of a pussy. And so he doesn't really tap into his Omega level powers often. So, Angel sucks. Angel does not suck. Thank you for the gifted membership. Look at Game Over Jesse. Got a gifted membership. How about that? How about that? Having Nightcrawler pop in, teleport Doom, only to have him teleport the exact same spot they were in because Doom controlled it would be sick. That would be sick, dude. That would be sick. Do any of the new mutants join the cast for Secret Wars? That's actually a great question. I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible. We're going to get into some stuff that Alex Perez recently said in his Q&A here. And he does kind of address that a bit. So maybe. She's not Omega level, but she can whoop Captain Marvel. She's OP. She's certainly OP. She would be a big gun on the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like, she's that strong. Colossus might even be considered a big gun on the Avengers. But this ain't the Avengers, brother. You know what I'm saying? This is the mother-loving X-Men. Okay. Am I the only one that thinks Sadie Sink is ugly? Probably, C. Fisher. Chat, what do you think? Do you think C. Fisher is the only one that thinks Sadie Sink is ugly? Let him know. Let him know about himself. We need Gambit. Relax. Okay? Relax. Yes. 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 Yes, he is alone. Okay, he's not 100% alone. Somebody else said they felt that way too. She's mid? Ban him. I think Sadie is an incredibly attractive young lady. She's not necessarily my type per se. I might go for certain other things, certain other features. You know, she's a little too young for me anyway. Samara, though, hot damn. I mean, but look, man. Isn't it okay that our Samara is a little bit maybe more stereotypically attractive than our Genie? But they're both bombshells? Like, ain't that okay? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And also, variety is the spice of life, man. You know? Like, variety is the spice of life. You know, maybe Jean's kind of got that whole innocent but deadly, like there's some darkness there, you know, kind of a thing going on. Samara is like, I'm completely fucking disarmed. I can't even make sense of how I feel about you other than, yes, mommy, please. You know, so it's just like different kinds of attractiveness that have different kinds of effects on different kind of people. I think that's great. Variety is the spice of life. Again. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of beautiful ladies, I think Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch still clears. That's just me. That's just a me thing. She's still my hall pass. You know what I mean? Like, Elizabeth Olsen is like, I don't know exactly what it is about her. But it makes me feel things. Okay. Let's talk about Wanda Maximoff. Can we? Please, chat? Please, I'm begging. Can we talk about Mother? And a lot of people might not feel that way about Elizabeth Olsen. It's totally fine. Different strokes to different folks, man. It's all good. It's Heather for chat. Jesus. Oh my God. Okay. We've got exciting updates about Avengers, Doomsday, Secret Wars, and actually, I do want to speculate a little bit about what's going to be going on after those movies with regards to the Scarlet Witch. Sorry, I burped while I was saying that. I'm such a disgusting pig. Hang on one second. We're ready. Let's take a peek at this, man. We're looking over on the CosmicCircus.com. They released this yesterday, actually, and a ton of interesting information here about the Scarlet Witch. So I'm kind of going to just skip down to that part here, and we will get into all of that here, okay? So... where's it at here? Where's it at here? Okay, probably here. Okay. So Alex has asked in this new Q&A here, can you please update us on the status of the Scarlet Witch 616? What we can expect for her future that has not been mentioned in the past or detailed? Alex's answer is the current rumor, another Scooper circles around Scooper circles. Oh my God. The current rumor around Scooper circles places her with an important role in Avengers Secret Wars, and that her power is a key element to how Doom's Battleworld gets made. Okay, now for a second, we need to just kind of take a step back here, okay? We're going to get into more of what is talked about here, but Alex says that she'll have a key role in Avengers Secret Wars, but then he says that her powers are an important part of how Battleworld is created. But the thing about that is, we're pretty damn sure Doom's going to create Battleworld in Doomsday, not in Secret Wars. And in fact, you might be surprised at how much you get of Battleworld at the end of Doomsday. Like some rumors that you might see a bit of that, either in a post-credit scene or actually at the end of the film, just to sort of show you exactly what you're going to have in store for you in the Secret Wars movie. And on top of that, we've seen those toy leaks, right, that have Doctor Doom using the red chaos magic. And Scoopers have said a couple of different things about that, but indicate that it is indeed real. And Doom, of course, in this film has been throughout the multiverse. And actually, just yesterday, Cryptic HD said that Doctor Doom is likely to have some kind of a vault or some kind of a chamber where he has all sorts of artifacts and powers and potentially even like actual Marvel characters that he's collected from throughout the multiverse, okay? And so Doctor Doom, using the chaos reality warping powers of the Scarlet Witch, are likely to be an important factor in creating Battleworld. I think he'll likely need Loki's power, and he'll likely need those reality warping powers that Wanda have, and I think those will both be important factors in creating Battleworld. And, you know, we've talked about this before too, but there's this whole prophecy with Wanda, right? The Scarlet Witch is said to either rule or destroy the cosmos. However, I think that might end up being a false interpretation, and that really Victor himself could be the Scarlet Witch in that scenario, because Victor's mother is a witch. He's technically a he witch, a vidki, or the volver, depending on, you know, which esoteric or magical practice you're talking about. He witches were absolutely a thing. If you've ever seen The Northman, there's a he witch in that movie that the main character meets and is given advice to by a he witch. And it's just like right out there on Front Street. A he witch is absolutely a thing. A warlock's technically different. A warlock means oath breaker. That's neither here nor there. But yes, a he witch. So I do wonder if Victor will actually either utilize the prophecy, utilize Wanda with the prophecy, or suggest to Wanda that he is actually the Scarlet Witch. Because we see this group of followers, sorcerers, witches, and magical people that are actually like servient to Doom. And man, we just saw a really cool one. Like I'll show you this. I'll tease this out a little bit. Technically, this is like kind of a big spoiler here, but we sort of talked about this already. Boris, or Dr. Doom's right-hand man in this movie, has been leaked. Okay, so let me show you this. There's a tweet I made. Boris has that shit on. If you know, you know. And by the way, this does match up with things that the Russian hackers posted that had this character in a shot where they had Loki's heart, and it's wild as shit, man. It's wild as shit. So some really crazy fucking magic is going on. And it just seems like Doom has convinced everybody that he's some kind of a savior, and his ability to use the chaos powers of Wanda will absolutely be necessary and an important part to him recreating everything. Another thing that's interesting about this, when you think about it, the Scarlet Witch was a character that becomes aware of the multiverse, right? That's kind of what happens at the end of the WandaVision show. And when we confront her in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, she has taken the perspective that out there in the multiverse, there are a ton of universes where she does have her children, and she's happy. And she's like, why don't I have them in this universe? There's something wrong with this universe. And remember, what is she looking to do? She's looking to get the power of America Chavez to literally traverse the multiverse, to go live in a universe where she can have what she wanted, which is her children. Well, the rumors suggest that Doctor Doom is doing the same thing. If he really is from 828 and he decides to leave and go to a different universe where he can be married to Sue Storm and have his child, which would be something like a variant of Franklin Richards, then he is literally doing the exact same thing that the Scarlet Witch was doing. Come to think of it, is this not the same thing that Sylvie was doing, especially in Loki season 2? She's just trying to find universes like the McDonald's one where she can just exist and hang out. And so I wouldn't be surprised if a ton of the people that end up following Doctor Doom all come to the same conclusion, that the multiverse is fake. It's also falling apart, and just like they were justified in wanting to seek out some reality within the multiverse where they could have what they actually wanted, they can actually be justified in following Doctor Doom and aiding him in using a spell to create a new universe where they can all have what they want. There's something about that, man. There's something dark and twisted going on with that. And I think Wanda is like the perfect character to be captured by that idea, right? Because all Doctor Doom has to say is, yeah, I saw Multiverse of Madness. I watched it in the theaters, and that thing you really wanted that you couldn't get, guess what? You can absolutely have it. I will give it to you. Help me create a world where we can all have what we want. And I think that's probably what will happen. So let's go back to the Q&A here from Alex and keep reading, though, because there's even more that is revealed. The next question is, what can you tell us about the role of the Maximoff family in Secret Wars? And then Alex says, reuniting. It's not a one-to-one adaptation. Agatha wasn't a part of it, but it's heavily inspired by Children's Crusade storyline. It's one of the few things that is keeping me very excited about Secret Wars. It's not exaggeration to say that it's mandatory that you watch WandaVision and Agatha all along, and eventually Vision Quest for Secret Wars, I think it's really Vision Quest, man. They're going to design Vision Quest in a way that, like, you don't need to watch Agatha. I think Agatha's actually pretty good, but, like, I disagree with Alex here. I don't think you need to watch Agatha. When you do, pay attention to the detail, the concept of magic runes, and how Agatha found Wanda, how Wanda's spell worked, how that spell affected other people, how Billy made the Witch's Road, how Agatha wasn't affected by Wanda, how the limits of the hex work. These are things that I think will be the most important background info to have in mind when trying to understand exactly how some characters will not be behaving the way they're supposed to. So that's actually a lot, right? And look, it's totally fair to say that when they were building the WandaVision show, they absolutely had in mind that this would pay off in Secret Wars. I know some people don't believe me, but I've been fucking covering Marvel for 10 years. You're just some schlub on the internet that can say shit in chat conveniently. I know for a fact that Marvel Studios was actually originally going to do Secret Wars in 2024. Late 2024, probably. But that's how fast it was all supposed to go. Remember, no content in 2020 because of the pandemic. They pushed things into 2021. Things keep getting delayed. Shows aren't working. Things are dragging. But in the original version of the plan, when they were creating the WandaVision show, they were absolutely setting up things for Secret Wars. And I think Alex is right to point out how the Witch's Road works, although that's not in WandaVision, that's in Agatha, but really how the hex worked, why it didn't affect certain magical people, or it allowed magical people to maybe get around it, how the runes work, all of that sort of stuff. So if we're doing Children's Crusade, and Wanda in Doomsday gives her power willingly to Doctor Doom, which is another thing that we think is real. By the way, chat, we did hear, like, originally, there were a ton of rumors that Wanda and Victor would be together. They'd have some kind of a romantic thing in this movie. I'm not exactly sure how we'll see that play out. Like, maybe we still see a version of that. Maybe they decide not to do that. Maybe that's something that's somewhat tackled in Secret Wars, but now it seems like Sue Storm is going to be his wife in Secret Wars, right? So I'm not quite sure how that's all going to fit together. But as we said previously, I do think it'll have something to do with what Wanda was doing in Multiverse Madness, what Doctor Doom was doing, and how they how their interests are shared, how what they want is aligned in a certain sort of way, right? So will the chaos magic that Doom is given be a part of the spell when he recreates Battleworld that actually causes everybody to lose their memories? And is there a way that he'll have runes around Battleworld, which creates some kind of a barrier? And is it potentially the case that her children, Wiccan, mostly, might have the magical wherewithal to override that spell, to change the runes, or to perhaps bring back the old memories of his mother? So I think a lot of that is probably in play for the Secret Wars movie. And we know, I mean, we've seen the concept art of the champions, and that included like Dupe, and it included Wong and Peter Quill and Miss Marvel and all that. It really does seem like that group is one of the main teams for Secret Wars, and what they will be doing is likely trying to get Wanda to remember her old past, to turn away from Doom, to be good again, and potentially help them out. But that's where things get really, really crazy. Because another thing that's going on, let me see if I can pull this up for you. There's something else about this that adds an extra little wrinkle, okay? And that is that, I don't know if I can, let me see if I can find this. Okay, I'm having trouble finding the exact thing here. Give me just a moment. So can I not search her profile because I blocked her? That's crazy. All right, anyway, fuck it. I'll just talk about this. My time to shine is reporting that Wanda Maximoff will be a big part of the X-Men saga, the MCU X-Men reboot, which will happen after Secret Wars, and that she may well still be a villain or an antagonist to the entirety of the X-Men. And I guess for me, it's like, okay, how do you put all these things together? You've got rumors in Doomsday that Wanda will be working with Doctor Doom. We also have rumors from Chris Claremont that there might be another version of Wanda that's like the good version of Wanda, maybe connected to that X-Men universe. I remember there were even rumors where Alex Perez was talking about how Polaris might be in Doomsday, the Magneto family might be in Doomsday, that you might get like a real look at Pietro, Wanda, and all that in Doomsday. I would love that. We haven't heard any updates for a long time about that. Either way, you've got Claremont talking about a good version of Wanda. You've got Wanda very likely being one of the followers of Doom in the red that's going to be masked. She'll eventually be revealed, and she'll be helping Doctor Doom, giving him access to the power of chaos magic and maybe even the Darkhold, and that'll be an important part in the spell that creates Battleworld. Alex suggests that the Hex and some of the precedents set in the WandaVision show will probably be a part of the magic used on Battleworld to keep everybody locked into their false memories. I think that totally tracks. We're hearing that in Secret Wars, her children, led by some other people, are going to go try to liberate Wanda, much like they did in the Children's Crusade, get her to turn against Doctor Doom and help them out. And yet, when we finally return back to the MCU proper in 616, and we actually have Wanda Maximoff with a full cast of X-Men and mutants popping up all over the world, that Wanda might still be a villain. How could all of that fit together, chat? I think one of the only ways this could happen is if Wanda feels as though she was tricked by other mutants, and maybe she feels like her own identity as a mutant was like used against her or something weird like that, or she legitimately like doesn't actually help her children, continues to side with Doctor Doom, and then therefore she's left in this very morally ambiguous position after it is done. And either way you slice it, she's probably complicit in creating Battleworld, in causing all of this insane destruction again, because really she's still doing what she was doing at the end of Multiverse of Madness. She's still making the selfish choice and not really worrying about the consequences, just so that she can have what she has. But if that's the case, wouldn't she already have her children on Battleworld? So are we going to see multiple variants of her children on Battleworld? I don't know. It's like, it's pretty crazy here, but I expect what they have planned with Wanda is really well thought out. I think that's actually the only reason why they're still going to do like the Vision Quest stuff, into the Children's Crusade stuff. And then when we get into the X-Men saga after that, like legitimately, if it was not for Speed and Wiccan and their connection to Wanda, I think you just cancel Champions outright. Like, we don't really care about those characters at all. It's really more about the new X-Men characters, and you can just do a young group of X-Men, and it's instantly more popular than Champions or any of those goobly glob characters. But the only reason it actually matters is because Wanda matters. People care about Wanda, and there's like something there. So I would really like to know how all of this is going to play out. But what we definitely know, as far as what rumors and speculation and everything can tell us right now, is they got something cooking, dude. They got something cooking. I think what they're going to do with Wanda in Doomsday is going to be fascinating. What they do with Wanda in Secret Wars is going to be really, really interesting. And then it's like, how do we then get to a point where Wanda is still somewhat an antagonist when we come back and when we're actually back in the real, proper MCU? How does Wanda Maximoff deal with this new X-Men? How does Wanda Maximoff deal with potentially a new Magneto. What is that actually going to look like on 616? I'm really fascinated. I'm really interested, and I'm actually pretty damn excited because I think they're cooking something really, really cool here. So I just wanted to touch on that. Chat, what do you think about all of that, man? Chat, what do you think of all of that? No more mutants? No more mutants is interesting, but like, when would that happen, or how would that happen? I'm just so, I mean, like, I think there's just a lot of really interesting ways to do that. I like all that. It has a lot of fertile ground for storytelling. You know what I mean? It has a lot of fertile ground for storytelling. House of M, I mean, maybe they do make her snap. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, huh? It's a layered, complicated, nuanced thing. I mean, it's very much ripe for the picking, man, you know? Is Sadie Sink the hottest Jean Grey we've ever had? I don't know if I'd go that far, but she's certainly a very attractive young lady. John Johnson says, actually thought back in MOM, we thought Wanda could flip it and go, no more mutants. Yeah. Yeah. Is she going to do that on Battleworld? Does she do that like does she do that midway through the mutant saga and then all the mutants go away again? Is it possible she already did that in a different universe? Westview is in New Jersey and McKellen spoiled destroying New Jersey. It's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's really, really interesting, right? And I think the fact that Wanda is such a fascinating character, like, I know there were some people that got mad about her depiction in Multiverse of Madness, but they're wrong and silly because she was amazing in that movie. And I think Wanda is incredibly compelling in that bitches be crazy kind of an idea. I thought she was an incredible villain, super unbalanced, and there's just something about her not being completely well put together that makes her even more of a threat. And what about this boner payoff? Oh, yeah, that's a really good question, too, because there's some rumors that the boner payoff might happen, and I'm not talking about some shit John Campy is into. I'm talking about Ralph Boner, right? What's the deal with that? How did that even happen? Interesting. Yeah, interesting. You saw a tweet that Doom kills her? I don't know where that came from. Man, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The mutant side of this is quite interesting, isn't it? Man, Marvel's so lucky they have the mutants on the way. Seriously. And so am I. And so am I, chat. They even throw her in Midnight Suns. Yeah, I think she would be great in Midnight Suns. Absolutely. I saw that she wears green and leaves the orange one for the Phoenix. Oh, really? What? I'm not really sure about that. I am not really sure about that. I'm just excited that we get Wanda Maximoff in the MCU and we're actually going to have mutants and shit, you know? Like, she was great in the Infinity Saga, and I realized that they weren't really doing mutants. They had to connect her power to the Reality Stone or whatever, the Mind Stone. But yeah, House of M is great, and like, dude, frankly, like, they never really trust her after that. You know, like Wanda is never really in the inner circle. Everybody's like, I don't know about this bitch. And I think that's great. Like, that's fine. Like, not everybody needs to be fucking Rey Skywalker. You know, some of these ladies can just be a hot mess, and it's really interesting to watch. Best guess now who the Latvian witches are? Well, it seems like there's a bunch of them, but I think the heavy hitters are probably Clea, Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, Sylvie, maybe Femke as Jean, maybe. Yeah, not really sure. Okay, let's go over another couple of things that are in this here document here from Alex. So something else that Alex confirms here, which shouldn't necessarily be all that surprising, but I still think it's dope to hear, is this whole idea of Mephisto. Okay, so let's get into this. Alex is asked, with Ghost Rider officially being announced, have you heard any early ideas of what the story might be? And Alex says, it's really early for any details on the plot. I've only heard two things. Expect Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto, and that he'll be established by the time we get into his movie, i.e., he's been at this point Ghost Rider stint for a hot minute. Love that. And then what villains can we expect to see in Ghost Rider? Mephisto is certainly at the top of the list. However, if Marvel still wants to maintain parts of their original plan for the supernatural story, I could totally see Lilith and Blackheart being involved here, and it would also give the chance for Mia Goth to debut in the MCU. Finally, yeah. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So first of all, I think this is absolutely amazing for Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. Yeah, Ironheart just ain't it. You know, I know, again, 12 of you watched it and really, really liked it, but I'll never watch that show. Never have, never will. So as far as I'm concerned, I've never really seen Mephisto in live action. And also, it's absolutely insane that Oscar-winning Sacha Baron Cohen, an actually incredible performer, super good gig as Mephisto, was reserved for a Disney Plus show. That's crazy. So I'm glad that we're putting on our big boy pants and we're putting like actually dope characters with actually awesome actors in big movies. That's the right way to do this. So that's number one. Very excited about this. Number two, though, they seem to be taking a little bit of the route in which they took for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that is to say, we're no longer having to explain Shocker as building his shit from alien tech due to damage control, getting the contract and all this like silly shit. It worked. It did a great job of bringing people into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, making it accessible, making it believable. But then you cut the Spider-Man, Scorpion's in his suit, you don't have to explain shit. Boomerang's doing boomerang things, you don't explain shit. Tombstone's Tombstone, you don't explain shit. The Hand, how the fuck do people in New York even know what the Hand is? Doesn't matter. You don't need to explain it. We're ready now to just do the comic book shit. We've earned it. It's fine. We can accept it. This is a world where, yes, in 2008, Iron Man puts on like a suit and flies and it's crazy and that starts all this sort of stuff. But now, like, we don't need that shit anymore. Like, just do the comic book stuff. So I actually love the idea that this won't be an origin. Like, we're not going to watch the stuntman guy make a deal with the devil and become Ghost Rider. No. He's already Ghost Rider. He's already fighting against demons. He's already doing wild shit. That's the way you do it. And I think a couple of scenes between a Sacha Baron Cohen Mephisto and a Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, which that's new too. According to Jeff Snyder, he will be Johnny Blaze, which I think is awesome. Just a couple of scenes where like maybe Ghost Rider sends some demon back to hell. Okay. And Mephisto shows up behind him and he's like, that's the 12th one this week. Are you trying to earn a bonus? Because I don't give bonuses or some shit like that. And Johnny Blaze is just, you know, talking some shit back to him or whatever. Like, you can establish that shit in a couple of conversations. You don't need a whole movie that breaks it down, right? So I think it's great. I think these are great actors. And I'm excited to see that we will have Mephisto be a big part of this, okay? Now, this whole element of what they wanted to do with the supernatural side is so interesting to me, right? Because you have this character of Lilith and you have this character of Blackheart, Blackheart, I believe, is Mephisto's son, unless I'm mistaken. And I think Blackheart has a completely different agenda and wants to do things differently than Mephisto. And so that's a really interesting potential conflict there. Blackheart's really, really powerful, really, really cool looking, actually. And you could see how that conflict would all work. But what if Blackheart's like working for Mia Goth's Lilith, and we have this other sort of feminine demonic entity that's trying to, you know, usurp the throne of Mephisto or do something different than Mephisto? I kind of love that sort of pecking order, political conflict with the demons from hell, and how that would manifest on Earth with different champions and representatives of these different entities battling out, etc., etc. So I think that that could be really, really cool. The other thing that I was thinking about, though, and this has to do with Wanda, we just also heard that Wanda might be somewhat of a villain or an antagonist for the X-Men, even going past Secret Wars into the X-Men saga. Well, Chthon is also a really powerful demonic force, and I wonder if we'll see anything with Chthon, some of the more eldritch elder gods, or the, what are they called, the Fear Lords, or the Lords of Fear from the old Marvel Comics verse. Some of them are even more ancient and powerful than Mephisto himself. They're different. They're different. Some are physically manifest on Earth. Some come from the realm of hell or whatever. So all of that stuff is really, really interesting. Mephisto also has connections to Doctor Doom. Mephisto also has connections to Scarlet Witch and her children. At one point in comics, the twins, Wiccan and Speed, actually both have a shard of Mephisto's soul inside of them. And it's like this 6D chess plan from Mephisto. It's like really, really crazy. So there's a lot of fertile ground here. There's a lot of really interesting things that they could do. But we heard about Ghost Rider, and we heard basically nothing when it was first announced. Now we're understanding that it's going to be Johnny Blaze. We're understanding that Mephisto is going to be a big part of it. Sacha Baron Cohen's actually going to get his, like, you know, his due diligence. And that they're going to have Johnny Blaze already be established as Ghost Rider. Now, part of that could be him showing up in Secret Wars. We've heard that maybe Gosling will be in Secret Wars as Ghost Rider. Maybe Mahershala Ali's Blade will also be in Ghost Rider. Not really sure. But maybe they do some of the setup there. But then when we get into 2028, it seems like we're going to have, boom, new X-Men, crazy stuff going on in that movie. Then you're going to dip into the supernatural side. And instead of it being Blade, it's Ghost Rider. We feel very strongly that this will lead to a Midnight Suns thing. That's a little bit of what Alex is implying here when he is talking about the original plan for the supernatural storylines and Mia Goth and Blackheart, because that was originally going to be a thing handled in the Midnight Suns movie. Is that still a thing? Will they set up the pieces of that in the Ghost Rider movie? I think so. I think it's a pretty safe bet that that's probably how they're going to treat it. So to me, I think this is cool because, like, a Ghost Rider movie just on its own with Ryan Gosling, fine. Sean Levy, I like Sean Levy. A lot of you motherfuckers are like, fuck Sean Levy. You know what I mean? I'm not there. I like Sean Levy, but it's not enough to get me to be like, damn, this shit is going to be straight fire. However, these updates are kind of cool. Number one, Jeff confirmed that he's Johnny Blaze. Love that. But number two, Mephisto actually being involved front and center, Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto, and the potential for this thing to lead into Midnight Suns. Now you have my attention. Like, now I'm leaning forward. Now I'm like, okay, so it's more than just a Ghost Rider movie that can be made by one of the most on-budget, very, very efficient directors in Hollywood that doesn't really excite people but excites executives because the budget won't go over. Now all of a sudden I'm looking at this as a little bit more. I'm looking at this as an entry point in to what I think will be a big part of what they do in the next saga. The rumors are that what they really want to do with the next saga is something like cosmic horror with the X-Men coming and being a big part of it. Dude, That's super fucking cool, and I can't wait to see like how are they going to tie that together? What are they going to do with that? Because they could do really interesting things with like Chthon, maybe the first Firmament, really dark forces out there. There's a lot that they could do with this. So those are your updates with regards to the crazy things happening with the Ghost Rider movie that potentially will set things up for Midnight Suns. Chat. Any questions? Any thoughts? What do you make of this? Crest says, "Hey Josh, appreciate you doing this. You the best." Oh, thanks, bud. No, I mean I'm really into this shit. That's why that's a big part of why I'm here as well. But I appreciate the support. Thank you. May the blood of the gods flow through you like the rivers of ancient Babylon. K, much love. I don't know what that means, but if I did know what that means, I'd say thank you. Wanda, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night as characters in the Midnight Suns would be lit. Yeah, I'm still not ready to give up on Mahershala Ali Blade. I know Blade. Seems like it might be dead. Mahershala did get a little flagrant with it, but it's hard to assess tone, you know? And honestly, if I were him, I'd be pissed about the Ryan Gosling thing too. I'd be like, that is the whitest white boy I've ever seen. Directed by another one of the whitest white guys I've ever seen. And like, I get it, Kevin, like, you know, some things went awry and all that, blah, 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 but what the fuck, man? Where's my Blades movie? You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, maybe he's just in his feelings. Maybe he's really gone. But I think Blade would be a very nice addition to the Midnight Suns. I would really like Mahershala Ali Blade is still to be the thing, is what I'm trying to say. Says the guy who doesn't like horror. LOL, man, go play some Warhammer, Joshy. I would love to play some Warhammer, and I like horror elements. I just don't like when you have a horror movie, you're basically saying like, I'm signing up to just be terrified the whole time. I don't want that. I'm okay with being a little bit terrified in certain situations, and it can add to the spice. But like a horror movie is just like, no, let's just like sit here and be really fucking afraid the entire time. It's like you're signing up to just be afraid constantly. That's just not my thing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Mahershala called Feige a chump. It's over. Bring back Snipes. I'm not ready to say goodbye to Mahershala's Blade. Okay? I am personally not ready to say goodbye yet. I'll never let go, Jack. We can work this out. You know? Like maybe they have a scene in Secret Wars together where they both come out and they're dressed in their 1602 garb and they're, you know, looking all fancy as fuck on Battleworld. And then Deadpool's in the scene and Deadpool's like, oh, wow, this is so awkward because his movie was supposed to come out way before yours. And now yours is coming out before his. This is like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not ready to let go. What do you guys think? Do you have any content out about the Odyssey movie? Yeah, dude, I did a 6-hour video essay because I'm neurodivergent as fuck. And yeah, the 6-hour essay was just about how the movie's not as good as you think it is. But you won't understand it unless you watch all 6 hours. So then we can both be a bunch of neurodivergent virgins together. Anyone wanting old-ass Wesley Snipes over a generational actor like Ali is crazy. Why not both? I like both. Wesley Snipes is one of the coolest motherfuckers ever to live. I like Wesley. You know? But yes, Mahershala is fucking incredible. Are you kidding me? Why can't we have both on Battleworld together? Nerds Engaged with the 10 spot says, Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen were both older when they landed the roles. What would you think about bringing back Fassbender and McAvoy in real time? Let them grow into the roles. Dude, I don't hate it. It just really doesn't seem like that's going to happen, brother. Reliable insiders are saying that's not going to happen. But if you're just asking me what I think, I'd be open to it. I'd be open to it. I really like Fassbender as Magneto. McAvoy's a pretty good Professor X. So I like it. I like it. I would do it. If it were up to me, I actually think it would be great. You know, frankly, I think it would be great. It's a little bit of like having that old flavor with the new. I think it could absolutely work. But there's really no signs that that is what Marvel is doing. So I don't want to get your hopes up. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Mahershala already did Cottonmouth. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It gets complicated if you bring back those two and not the others. I think that's fair, and maybe there would be too many questions about it. Maybe that's why they ultimately decided not to do it. I bet they thought about it, though. You know, like I bet they thought about it. Hell, haven't we all thought about it? Haven't we all given it a thought or two? All right, any other thoughts or comments on this Ghost Rider shit? Any other comments on this Ghost Rider shit? Love James and Fassbender. Wish they would just bring them back for the new X-Men. Yeah. Other people are saying that too. Since Marvel deals with Satan and hell, will they have Nightcrawler talk about scripture or Jesus? Or would they be afraid to? Well, I mean, I don't think they're afraid to per se. I would have a difficult time calling it an actual proper adaptation if you didn't have that. Kurt is incredibly religious, as is Daredevil. Now, I do think they kind of went a little bit away from the Catholicism in Daredevil Born Again, but I actually don't know because I didn't watch the second season. One of the things I was actually thinking about on this exact note here, I think they should make Angel an atheist. Because it would be fascinating to have a guy that looked like an actual angel that didn't believe in God, and then a guy that looked like an actual demon that did believe in God. Something cool about that. There's something there. And the debates that they could have would be really, really interesting. And you know what? Like, dude, you got to give credit to creepy-ass perverted Bryan Singer. Because one thing he did really well was bring the element of faith authentically with Kurt. The conversations he had with Storm, I thought were so good. You know, like I thought they were so good. And then later on, when he teleports into the room that he can't see and she tells him to have faith and stuff like that, it's a really nice full circle thing. I guess what I would tell you is I understand maybe the framing and your presumption that Disney wouldn't want to do that. But like, why the fuck not, man? If we're going to be authentic to these characters, I think you need that. I also really like that line that Cap says in the first Avengers movie, where he's like, there's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that. Talking about Thor. That was really fun. So, yeah, I think that it's about being authentic to the characters. One of the things that's really beautiful about Marvel is it's so eclectic. Like, it's so eclectic. Did you see them announcing any special presentations at D23? Oh, man, I don't really see it unless it's directly connected to certain characters in the X-Men saga and there's like a really important thing there. I think they actually have to discuss Vision Quest, and they really got to sell us on Vision Quest as an important piece for Secret Wars. And maybe it's hard to do that and then also like talk about the X-Men special presentations because people would be like, yo, fuck out of here, Vision Quest, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a good question. I guess we'll see. They already talked about Scripture and Daredevil. Did they? Well, I know in the Netflix show, it's really in there. I mean, the father, the first episode of Netflix Daredevil was so good. If you haven't seen it, you don't have time, at least go watch the first episode of the Netflix Daredevil show. I think it's a masterclass, man. I think it's a masterclass. Thought any more about the actors they are announcing now being in Secret Wars? There's certainly something there. In fact, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's make that the next segment. What do you say? So let's stop that there. Would you guys mind if I go put on another coffee? I mean, we're almost at 2 hours, but we yapped a lot before we got into the topics. I feel like one more really good yap session about the Secret Wars characters might be on the table for us, huh? Does that sound okay? Yeah, let me take a little coffee break. Let me see if I can pull up something for you guys to... I can't believe D23 is going to be that late at night, though. That's pretty crazy, guys. All right. Can you guys read that? Check out that panel while I go make a coffee. Can you read it? Yeah, if we're not getting this freaky in the X-Men saga, I don't want it. My favorite current hashtag is hashtag cheat on Jean Grey. It's perverse. It's a little dark. But the internet is quote tweeting and posting pictures of Samara Weaving with the hashtag cheat on Jean Grey. I'm sorry. I love it. I'm sorry. I love it. I might wear a fucking shirt. Hashtag cheat on Jean Grey. I'm sorry. I love the Spider-Man Jean Grey ship. It's all over Twitter. No, it isn't. And you're a bad person, and you should feel bad about it. Fuck out of here. The internet or just Josh? I mean, it's hard to say. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. I haven't thought about it that carefully. I don't and I won't. Okay, fine. You know, it's just advice. It was just some friendly advice. You don't have to take it. A couple more sips of the coffee, and then we'll get in here, okay? And we'll get into it here. Logan out, Emma in. That's what I talk about. How much sugar is in that coffee? Are you talking about booger sugar? I shouldn't start that train up again. Remember when there was a big campaign that said I was on cocaine? And I was just like constantly on cocaine. I remember talking to my buddy about that when it was going down, and he was like, brother, I've seen you on cocaine, allegedly. They couldn't handle you on cocaine. Like, it's just like, I'm already a super crass, aggressive, somewhat of a dick face kind of a guy. Okay. And like, I'm just telling you, you guys would not be able to handle it. Like, imagine this dialed up to 15. No, you don't want no part of that, do we? Okay. It'll take all your bad feelings and turn them into good feelings. Allegedly. Allegedly. Always thought you were more of a shrooms guy. I mean, depends on what the evening calls for. Why would you revel in being obnoxious, though? Because it's obnoxious to revel in being obnoxious. Are you not paying attention? Do you not understand what fuels me? No, the truth is there's pretty much no good cocaine left. Not worth it. I would fucking annihilate that dude. Yeah, Josh got the Jonah Hill serum. Indeed, indeed. Indeed, sir. Sensitive people are going to be uncomfortable with the way Doom kills a specific child in Avengers Doomsday. It's brutal. Yeah, I think so. I think Doomsday is going to be a little shocking. I think people are going to be like rooting for Doctor Doom, like thinking he's really, really cool. And then kind of at the end of the movie be like, ooh, I don't like that. Ooh. And I think it's awesome. A little bit like that. That's the Stark guy last night, or whatever his name was. The northern guy last night on House of the Dragon. You see that? The kid hit him on the leg, and then he turned around and whacked that kid in the face with the axe. You know? Okay, let's get into this. Mr. Falcon says, don't get to catch many live streams live these days, but I will always support you, bro. Hope you and the family are good. Nerd Vengers for life. 20 months as a member of the best community on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Falcon. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're doing our thing over here. We're doing our thing over here. You know, there's been some highs. There's been some lows. There's been some valleys. There's been some slopes. Thank you. Appreciate the love. All right, let's talk about something else that insider Alex Perez was discussing with regards to Avengers Secret Wars. I think it's pretty interesting. Interested to know what you all think about this. And, you know, the potential, the possibilities are pretty hyped in my opinion. So, a couple of different things here. Alex is asked about Monica Rambeau and the post-credit scene of The Marvels. Now, what Alex doesn't say here is The Marvels is one of the biggest box office bombs in the history of Hollywood. Brie Larson absolutely had to stick up her ass for that entire situation. There was absolutely a whole bunch of bullshit, and the sky was falling. So that's a big reason as to why there's not going to be a whole ton of Monica or Maria Rambeau in Avengers Doomsday. And in fact, some people are suggesting they won't be in the movie at all. It's actually possible they're not in the movie at all. Here's what Alex says, though, when asked about this. He said there's no specific reason outside of the possibility of wanting to keep some characters a secret. And you'd think that even with a lot of the plot leaks and everything people keep talking about, that cat's out of the bag. But the truth of the matter is there are a lot that isn't really out there for Avengers Doomsday. Ooh, interesting. Regarding specific details, characters, or motivations, there are still some characters that are surprises for Doomsday, mainly around the third act. So while Alex is talking about Rambeau and whatever, this idea of surprises in the third act, I think, is totally real. And it's even something that I myself don't fully understand. I've heard a whole bunch of things. I'm not sure what to believe. But I think that there's a lot of surprises coming in that third act. Like, look, man, I think that Blue Minutes account, I think they spoiled Tom Holland in the future Foundation Spider-Man outfit. He'll be a variant. But I think he's in that, John. I think he's in that, John, as that version of the character. But I guess we'll wait and see, okay? Now, Alex then goes on to say, but to refocus your question on Monica, even if she doesn't appear in Doomsday, the fact remains that she is one of a handful of people who can actually close a multiversal rift. That is a very useful skill going forward for the incoming incursions. So even if she's not in the movie, she's doing something important. That's good to know. That specific details I have heard about what her character was focused on were interactions with Lashana Lynch's Maria Rambeau / binary variant from the X-Men universe and her quantum bands. If I had to take an educated guess based on the info I've heard, it would be that Monica and Maria are out and about together on some separate story while the events of Doomsday transpire. But I am confident that we'll see both Teyonah Parris and Lashana Lynch return for one, if not both, of the Avengers outings. Okay, so that's really interesting. And again, he's trying to say stuff without saying it. It's probably connected to the third act. And legitimately what he's implying is that there could be a whole bunch of story arcs, a whole bunch of things that happen off screen in Doomsday. And I think that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, for instance, we're all pretty damn sure Doc Strange is Boris, aka the right-hand man of Doctor Doom. He's going to be heavily involved throughout this film, but he will not be revealed to be Benedict Cumberbatch until very late in the movie. That just suggests a whole bunch of story that took place, by the way, from a post-credit scene, which is when Clea shows up to get him at the end of Multiverse Madness. There's a whole story that's going to happen with him that will not be fully explained in Doomsday. Even if it is explained, the story happens off screen. I think it's probably the same thing for the Scarlet Witch, because again, the last time we see her is a little puff of red smoke or magic in the Temple of Chthon as it's collapsing upon her at the end of Multiverse of Madness. There's probably a whole bunch of shit that happens with her and Doom that will happen off screen. What Alex is implying is that Teyana Paris and maybe even Binary will be maybe masked figures. They might be masked beings. Or they might be on a mission by Doom or the X-Men that could be working for Doom anyway, and that story will take place off screen. Okay? Now, Alex goes on to say something else here that's interesting, and I want to speculate about, again, the third act of Doomsday, okay? So, this person asks, can you name any characters in Doomsday that were not named in the chair reveal? He says here, there's a couple that still haven't been mentioned. A lot of them have already been revealed by scoopers and leaks, so they're out there already. But if I had to give you a couple of names that I haven't seen out there, there's a couple of Asgardians that are planning to answer Thor's call to arms, some of which we haven't seen since Thor Ragnarok and are very, very close with Thor. And I just think that's really neat. So is he implying that Hela will come back and that Hela will fight on the side of the Asgardians when they go to Valhalla? Is Hela in Valhalla? That's really, really interesting. Another possibility, of course, is the Warriors 3, who all get fucking slaughtered very unceremoniously in Thor Ragnarok. That could be cool. Could it also be Fenris? Could we get the Fenris Wolf of Asgard to actually come back? Man, that would be really, really interesting. So he's talking about the Asgardians there that are close to Thor. Of course, Jane Foster, probably true. Heimdall, probably true. But yeah, maybe even potentially more actually coming out there, which is really, really interesting. So there's a lot of discussion about this third act of Doomsday, man. And I go back to the rumors that I believe it was Cryptic that said this, that Marvel was planning on bringing in a ton of variants for the end of Doomsday that you would never see again. And there's even a part in this Q&A here when talking about Secret Wars where he says you will actually see characters on Battleworld that you have not seen ever before. Okay, so I'll read this with you, and then I'll come back out, and we'll speculate about all of this. Okay. So he's talking about, is a resistance team for Avengers Secret Wars going to have characters who were absent in Doomsday, like Tom Holland, Spider-Man, Vision, Star-Lord, Hulk, Wong, etc.? He says, partially yes. There's a sort of hierarchy for the resistance Avengers. There's the leaders, the older established figures. There's the newbies, the younger heroes. And then there's the never before seen characters. There's 3 at the moment. This group of allies is going to be divided into smaller groups chasing different stories, sort of how Avengers divided themselves into Endgame and went to different places to look for the stones. Now, who are these 3 at the moment? Probably well, he says never seen before. I wanted to say T'Challa the second, but technically we see him at the end of Wakanda Forever, so he's probably not one. I would say Sadie Sink's Jean Grey, but we've seen her. So who are these 3 that we've never seen before? Maybe Ghost Rider? Maybe Scotty Summers, the new one? Maybe another X-Men? I'm not really sure. But I think between Doomsday and Secret Wars, you essentially have the perfect movies to bring in all kinds of versions of Marvel characters, right? I mean, I've talked about this before, but you know, whether it's Old Man Phoenix, a version of Wolverine at the end of time that has the Phoenix Force, whether it's Cosmic Spider-Man, you know, whether it's Cosmic Ghost Rider, King Thanos, the Maestro Hulk. There's just so many variants of characters, really fun ones from the comics that I would absolutely love. Cyclops, Phoenix Force or something, right? So I think the end of Doomsday, where it's that crazy battle and Loki is probably, by the way, this is pretty spoilery, but Loki's probably not dead even after they rip his heart out. Loki's going to show back up with a multiversal group of Avengers. That's like a newer leak for Secret Wars that seems to be real, or rather a newer leak for Doomsday that seems to be real. So I think you'll see a ton of those variants there. It's just like in Deadpool and Wolverine, where Paradox is tasked with overseeing the death of a timeline and grabbing a hero from that timeline to bring to 616 to fight for the sake of the entire multiverse. It feels like that's not the only timeline that was doing that. That's probably what the whole fucking TVA was doing. So Loki at some point, in some way, shape, or form, is probably going to have access to this massive team of multiversal Avengers. But guess what? Dr. Doom has also been out there. Dr. Doom has also been traveling the multiverse. Dr. Doom probably has dark versions of the characters. So like my dream scenario here at the end is like 616 Steve Cap versus Hydra Cap that Doom creates from a dark timeline. You know, Bruce Banner and some other Hulks versus Maestro Banner, Maestro Hulk being evil as hell, right? So if that's really what we're gonna get, and we're getting like all these heroic variants of characters versus all these villainous variants of characters, like my god, that's gonna be one of the coolest scenes ever, right? But then you go to Battleworld and you've got a lot of Marvel characters. You want it fully represented. I mean, they're basically gonna give you a oldish, younger but not child, male Black Panther in Secret Wars, and it's gonna be the Johnson guy. And they're doing that partially because you absolutely need a fucking male version of Black Panther and T'Challa in Secret Wars. Like, how could you celebrate all of Marvel and not have that? Doesn't make sense. So I think similar things are out there where you need those kind of really iconic versions of characters to show up. And I'm really hoping that we get some of them. Maybe we get The Rock as Apocalypse. Maybe we get our Mr. Sinister. You know, there's a lot of very, very exciting possibilities when it comes to both, right? You have the Doomsday third act, crazy battle of variants. But then you pop up on Battleworld, and it's almost like any character that was in that last battle is on the table to be in Secret Wars. Quite literally, everybody's going to die. He's going to bring everybody back. Even the characters that were in Valhalla have the opportunity to come back to life and be on Secret Wars. Pretty interesting shit there, guys. So I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's just so fun. It's one of the most fun things that these movies have going on. A lot of rumors, a lot of fun possibilities. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What about ScarJo Black Widow? Yeah, it's a good question. She could technically arrive in both. I think she could be in Doomsday. I really do. Like, I really do think she could be in Doomsday. But if she is, it's at the end. It's in that third act space. And maybe she shows up and Yelena's like, oh my God, it's my sister. And then Scarlett's like, yeah, but I work for Dr. Doom now, bitch. And it does something crazy. The Allfather with two eyes? Maybe. Tony comes back. Yeah, I think that's probably on the table. Yeah. I think that's probably on the table. I can't see ScarJo in the movie. So at the end, when they take off the mask, if ScarJo's there, like, is that going to shock you? Like, will you poop your pants? Yeah. What about Dolph Lundgren Punisher? I mean, that'd be cool. I'd be into that. Everyone comes back except Uncle Ben. Yeah, that's actually a rule. Yeah, it would. Yeah. Yeah, I think that even the idea that it's possible is exciting. As I've said to you guys many times, like, these movies seem to hold much more secrets than a lot of the other Marvel movies. We're trying everything we can to learn every little thing about them, and yet it seems like we still don't know things. That's kind of what Alex is saying, right? Like, we don't know. And there's still stuff that's not out there. And I bet there's stuff that even Alex doesn't know about. Or there's stuff that Alex heard about that he can't confirm or he's not sure about. And there's like all these rumblings and whatnot. Like, this is a really good spot to be in as a fandom. Like, we have all these rumors. We're really excited, but there's also like a possibility that shit's happening that we did not see coming at all. Like to the level of the Red Skull thing in Endgame or Infinity War. Like I'm looking for something like that. Something that like we just really did not see coming, you know? Doctor Doom and Battleworld has all the variants fight each other, and whoever wins is the one that goes forward. Is that the Secret Wars part of the whole thing? That would be crazy. I don't think so, though. I don't think so, but that'd be cool. What did I think of House of the Dragon season 3 final episode? I thought it was really good, dude. I thought it was really good. I was primed to hate it because this season's been a little weak to me, if I'm being honest with you. Like, this season's been all right, but I thought the finale was really good. I thought the finale was really good. His name is T'Challa the Second. I don't know what his name is. I think his name is Toussaint, which kind of sounds like croissant, which is making me hungry. Why are people saying that Ravonna is a Doom witch? I actually haven't heard anybody say that, but that would kind of track, yeah. Who knows where she went, what she did after all that. Do you think a certain group of characters will ditch to the quantum realm before the final incursion strikes? Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, I think maybe so, yeah. His mama named him Toussaint. I'm going to call him Toussaint. Toussaint? Toussaint? What the fuck is happening? You know what? I like a chocolate croissant. And I'm not just saying that because he's black. I'm actually saying that because I really like a chocolate croissant. Not a lot. You can't go heavy on it. You got to have just the lightest amount of chocolate on top of that fluffy croissant. I'm just fucking with you, but I really do like chocolate croissants, actually. His Haitian name is Toussaint to hide his identity. That's not his real name. Really? What? What? Well, they got to break that down easier for us white people because we don't understand that. Can I get a little olive branch from a black community here? Can you break that down in a way that we would understand? I think it's because one of the witches is dressed up like in brown, which is like her uniform. Okay. So it seems like a bit of a stretch, but sure. I don't understand it either. Maybe this guy's just on something then. I don't know, brother. I'm just trying to understand. Oh my God, Carl. Somebody take away fucking Carl's hashtag button. You know, we're heading in a really, let's just curb that. Let's just nip that right in the bud, you know? Do you think the ancient one could be a witch? Now that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting, especially because it could connect to that whole not seeing past her death thing, maybe the end game thing. Like, there's something there. There's something there. You don't have nicknames for people that don't add up to their actual name, Josh? No, not like one that's associated with an ethnicity. I mean, I guess maybe for certain ethnicities. Like, my name is actually Greek, and Latin. It's actually, if you do the etymology, it's Yeshua, Adaha, I forget Lucas, I think it's something like Lucian, which is Latin. So the etymology of the names, but like, I don't go around telling people like, my real name's Yeshua. Like, no, my real name's Josh. Can't Doom have more followers outside of the Coven of Witches? Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, one of the big questions I have is, are there people that we think are going to be good or that we think are sort of just riding with it during the movie, but they actually work for Doctor Doom, mostly with the X-Men? You know, I just can't shake this idea that like Magneto's in on it somehow. But if Magneto's in on it somehow, Charles has to be aware of that because they'd be reading his mind. He doesn't have the, like, we've seen shots of Eric or Magnus with no helmet on. So, like, if one of them's in on it, both of them are in on it. You know what I'm saying? Joshua is Hebrew. Yeshua comes from Hebrew, but it's actually Greek in the way it was spread. Christianity would not have spread at all if it wasn't for the Greek language, and it's actually because of Alexander the Great and sort of the footprint of that, because Christians would write shit down, and they mostly didn't write it down in Hebrew, brother. They wrote it down in Greek because that was the language the whole world spoke at the time. So, you know, we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but technically it is Hebrew and Greek. I thought you said you were Polish. Yeah, I used to think, I mean, I am Polish. I used to think I was just Polish. But then I started looking into my DNA a little bit more. And look, it just kind of depends on how you want to look at it, because I had ancestors that lived in Poland for around 300 years. Actually, it's about that. But those people actually don't even, like, they kind of went to Poland. It kind of depends on how you want to look at it. I don't want to get lost in the sauce here, but I actually have done a lot of research. I know myself. But yeah, I used to say I was Polish. Before this year, I probably would have told you I was mostly Polish. That's actually not true. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, all that stuff's kind of interesting, though. You know, I highly recommend looking into that for yourself. You know, finding out some things about, you know, where your ancestors come from, how they traveled, and all that sort of stuff. Right? You got to be careful with that. That mofos be wrong. Again, I really don't want to get lost in the sauce on this, but I have done an extensive look at who I am, where I come from. And probably mostly alien, you know what I mean? Like, just being real with you. No, I'm just kidding. But am I? Yeah, if we all come from something that's here, let me end this fucking segment, and I'll leave you with kind of an interesting idea. Okay? Let me leave you with a very interesting idea. So there's an idea in writing, or maybe you could say academia, that the older a thing is, as it continues to be valuable to humanity, the more valuable it is just based on its age. Okay? So, like Plato. Plato has been around for thousands of years, and for thousands of years, the writings of Plato have been considered valuable to humanity. And because they are continued to be considered valuable for like a long, long time, then they hold more, they're more valuable than like some high German philosopher, even though I like the German philosophers. They're more valuable than a postmodern thinker that publishes interesting ideas in like the 1850s or something like that. What I'm trying to explain to you is there's something about how long a thing persists that equates to the value of the thing. And when you think about that in the context of DNA, the smallest part of your DNA, you know, depending on who you are, is probably the oldest part of your DNA. Because what even separates things, like you think about, like, do you guys know what a haplogroup is? We're getting really fucking nerdy here, but do you know what a haplogroup is? So basically, a lot of what defines the differences in DNA is a mutation. And as things come into and out of a person's lineage, some of the things that persist the most from the furthest back, I would argue, are more valuable. And so, like, you could say I'm Polish or I'm British, but like Poland and Britain have only existed for what, 600, 800 years max or something like that, right? And you look at those places, and even the genealogy of people that like consider themselves ethnic to that area sometimes come from other areas. Sometimes they actually are hiding, and they go to certain places and they integrate with certain populations to actually hide. And so some of what you might consider your identity due to its recency is like not even close to the full story of where you come from and what has persisted within your lineage for the longest. Does that make sense? And also, I would argue we don't even really know what DNA is. Did you know you can store data on DNA? Yeah, DNA is pretty interesting, man. I've heard some pretty radical theories about what DNA actually is. I don't think we know shit. But doesn't mean you shouldn't stop trying to learn and figure it out. Just means you got to kind of be humble in the face of all there is to not know. And I think we know a very small slice of what there is to know. Does that make sense? Theory time, theory time, theory time. Yeah. And also, too, we have all this junk DNA, too, right? And there are actual signals of how certain viral integrations into the DNA have happened. And I'll stop there, but that's something worth looking into as well. Anyways, back to the X-Men, which isn't it crazy that the X-Men have to do with a latent gene that's from maybe creation that was run through certain bloodlines? And then isn't it crazy that we have this group known as the Hellfire Club, Illuminati secret handshake motherfuckers that are trying to identify certain bloodlines in the population to create some kind of super being. Like, isn't that crazy? Probably has nothing to do with anything. It's just a fun fictional story that certainly isn't predictive programming. I just think it's fun. The X-Men are just fun. The X-Men are fun. You know what I'm saying? Like perpetuals in 40K? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm definitely waiting for my X gene to activate. Well, I'll tell you this. If I had an X gene, I'm pretty sure you fuckers would have activated it by now. Because it's supposed to happen under stress. And if I get one more goddamn Heather quote, I'm going to turn Omega level mutant. No more chat. No more chat. And I'll snap it, I swear to God. You saw the new Doomsday leaks? I have seen the new Doomsday leaks. I'm thinking about making a full video on them. Or maybe we should go over it Wednesday. What do you think? Should we just go over it Wednesday? Did you say Heather? My God. My God, chat. My God. So you're 50% War Heather and 50% Ray? 100% fucked up, if that's what that is. My God. Can you do it? No, now? I can't do it now. We've been going for over 2 hours. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I'm hungry. You guys know I'm a part-time streamer, man. I'm on that part-time shit. Heather is eternity in human form. Jesus. If you keep ignoring me, I'm unsubscribed. What am I ignoring? What have you been put into the chat? Maybe it's good that I'm ignoring you. Did you ever think about that? Why can't I see my chats? What do you mean? I can see your chats. So you think we're getting X-Men at D23 confirmed? I think so. You know, I'm trying not to get my expectations up too high, but yeah, I think so. Incoming trigger. Josh works a 6-hour week and is burnt out. Heather has more screen time. Ah! Yeah, but does Heather have to deal with comments like that? Does Heather have to deal with comments like that? Scientifically, if you're not lactose intolerant as an adult, you have qualified as a mutant. No shit. We know the secrets from your DNA, the Russian secrets of the Latvian surname. I have no idea what you're talking about. But also, Bratia Borussia. Nerd Tower video about Avengers Doomsday automatic translation, most accurate leak of the movie. You can thank me later. Hey, go check that out if you're interested, guys. Maybe we'll break that down on Wednesday. Maybe I'll do just a regular video about it. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. All right, everybody. Much love, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out again. It's an exciting week. No stream tomorrow. Don't cry about it. I'm actually trying to get some Unity shit figured out. These fucking Unity backers are going to fillet me alive if I don't get these books out to them, which I totally get it, actually. You know, they've been waiting a long time. The good news is it's the best. Unity is incredible. It's literally better than everything else that's out there. It'll probably be the hottest, freshest IP ever. And once it's out there, we'll all be thankful that it is, and we'll all be super hyped about it. And all the bad feelings about the delay will be gone. But that won't happen if I don't lock the fuck in and get this shit done. So let's get it done. I do still have 40 years. You're right, Adam. But also, shit is lit. I'm being honest with you. Like, it's really cool. And I also took all the crazy shit that's been happening to me with the aliens and wove it into the story. That's kind of what I've been working on for the last 6 months. So it'll be a little bit telling and perhaps predictive in its own way. And nonetheless, it'll be super interesting. That's for damn sure. So look forward to that. I appreciate you all for being here for this stream. I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to go get some food, man. I'm feeling a burger. I'm feeling a burger today. But I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And as I always say, I hope you, that's right, you, have an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, it's a happy Monday. What a lovely, lovely stream. A lot of fun, a lot of yapping. A lot of cool, interesting things to talk about. A lot of little debates, a lot of little fights about things. That's what nerds do. It's all good. Appreciate you guys, man. It's going to be a good one. We'll be back at it on Wednesday live streaming. We'll be back at it on Friday with 2 live streams. And then we got to stream Saturday morning for the members very early on. It's a jam-packed week of streaming. And videos. Got some dope videos lined up too, man. Got some new editors in rotation. So you should be seeing a lot more videos coming out soon. All right, I'm gonna get on out here. I gotta go eat. I'm super hungry. Appreciate you though. Do me a couple favors before you go. Number one, I need you to open up your third eye. And then I need you to wash out your stinky butt hole. See you.